However, you loyal JoBlo subscribers will not be able to stream this movie on Disney+, even after Danny DeVito did a Facebook ad to commemorate Disney Plus Day, where he confessed his love for She-Hulk, attorney at Bird Law.
I am most excited to see She-Hulk. I'm a big fan of women kicking butt.
Come on, Danny, we all know that you're only pretending to be a She-Hulk fan because you secretly worked on that show yourself as Tatiana Maslany's motion capture ass double.
Ooh, go for it. Go for it. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
2022 has been a hard year in many regards, so we all need a little Christmas right this very minute, to quote a song from the late great Angela Pillsbury. And this year we've been ringing the holidays in with an enormous slate of holiday specials and movies, both on the streaming services and in theaters. From the return of Tim Allen as Santa in the Santa Clauses, to the intro of David Harbour as a far more badass Santa in Violent Night. But only time will tell if any of these shows or movies will become perennial holiday favorites in the years to come, which certainly did not happen with Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick facing off in the 2006 Christmas comedy clunker, Deck the Halls. In the same year Danny DeVito began his 16 years and counting as the hilariously depraved Frank Reynolds on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, DeVito starred in this flick as a car salesman who moves into the suburbs with his family during the holidays, and goes all out on the Christmas light display, much to the increasing annoyance of his neighbor across the street. You can tell how enthusiastic DeVito was over this flick by his appearance to promote the movie on The View, which he did right after a long night of hard drinking with his buddy George Clooney. I'm not kidding, people.
And he sees the neighbor's house. Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Holiday season, I get the idea to put the lights on, and I put...
It's like we're watching the moment where Danny started to actually turn into the character of Frank Reynolds. I keep expecting a half-eaten hoagie and loaded gun to start materializing into his hands. But not even a drunken DeVito was enough to have audiences decking this movie's halls, as it was met with humbug from the critics and a lump of box office coal, along with currently being placed at number 3 on Rotten Tomatoes' list of the worst reviewed Christmas movies. So let me look underneath the wrapping paper and find for myself why Deck the Halls failed to have audiences donning now their gay apparel. However, you loyal JoBlo subscribers will not be able to stream this movie on Disney+, even after Danny DeVito did a Facebook ad to commemorate Disney Plus Day, where he confessed his love for She-Hulk, attorney at Bird Law.
I am most excited to see She-Hulk. I'm a big fan of women kicking butt.
Come on, Danny, we all know that you're only pretending to be a She-Hulk fan because you secretly worked on that show yourself as Tatiana Maslany's motion capture ass double.
Ooh, go for it. Go for it. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
We advise that our viewers not attempt to get as drunk as Danny DeVito did in that interview clip as we close out the 12 days of the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink every time we see an establishing shot in the picturesque Massachusetts suburb of Cloverdale, the home of one of our film's 2 leads, Matthew Broderick, in the role of local optometrist Dr. Steve Finch, a fellow whom the singer Rockwell could best describe as an average man with an average life. Living in the suburbs with his cookbook publishing wife, Kelly Finch, played by Kristen Davis, the Sex and the City co-star of Broderick's real-life wife, and their 2 disaffected children, Carter and Madison, the latter of whom is played by a post-Arrested Development and pre-Search Party Aaliyah Shawkat, who do not necessarily share in their father's almost fanatical obsession with the holiday season that has rolled around once again with the arrival of December.
You just get so intense about Christmas.
You have a cookbook to write. The kids have school. Madison is a loner. She has hardly any friends. Well, I think this year they need Christmas more than ever.
You dumbasses, we all know that the holidays actually start in mid-October, whenever Walmart puts the Christmas tree aisle back out. But that night outside there arrives such a clatter that makes Broderick stir to see what's the matter. A new family that moves into the empty house across the street, who introduce themselves to the Finches the next morning as Buddy Hall, played by Danny DeVito, and his trophy wife who's old enough to be his daughter, Tia, played by Broadway superstar Kristen Chenoweth.
Steve, you have a way with the ladies.
Shabuya roll call.
Not even Doctor Strange could envision a universe in which Danny DeVito and Kristen Chenoweth could find anything mutually attractive about each other, aside from their equally short heights and love for stage musicals.
Looks like we got a visitor.
Whoa!
Don't put the little guy away on my count.
Yes, Ferris Bueller's Dick Out is one of the many moments where this movie's humor starts towing over the PG rating, such as when Broderick's 10-year-old son starts slobbering over the sight of DeVito and Chenoweth's twin daughters.
Oh, they are dressed. Trust me, this is more clothes than they've worn in months. Can I live here?
And twins.
But enough of that potentially creepy subplot. Buddy Hall has to start his new job down at the local car dealership, where his jackass co-workers bet that he cannot sell a car to the first person that they see in their lot, who just so happens to be the owner of the dealership. Let's see Harry Wormwood try and sell a car out of this situation.
Money on my desk by the end of the day. No checks.
I just bought one of my own cars.
My God, this must mean that my dementia is starting to settle in. I better call my grandkids and tell them it's going to be Pop-Pop's last Christmas with them this year. Wait, who are my grandkids? Why is there a bridge troll in my Chevy dealership? Where am I? Why am I here? Yet even with his success at work, Buddy still feels as though something is missing from his life. And that's when his kids introduce Dad online to a site called Google Earth. My Earth, where they can spot every other house in their neighborhood from a satellite in space, except for their unlit home. And that was when the Grinch, Buddy Hall, got an idea. Buddy Hall got a wonderful, awful, probably not that funny idea.
Light it up. Fire! Fire! We're gonna die! We're all gonna die!
Actually, since Buddy just so happens to be a part-time electrical engineer, he now sets about to decorate his family's new house for the holidays with enough lights to help their home be seen from space online, which will soon create a deepening divide between him and his new neighbor. Thus, the hijinks begin the very next day as Dr. Finch prepares his family for their annual Christmas card photo, when they're interrupted by a horse-drawn sleigh that Buddy rides through the neighborhood after he bought it out of the back room of a department store, with two reindeer riding the sleigh, which are actually horses with freaking antlers attached to their heads.
I especially like the way you've duct taped the antlers to their heads.
Take the picture in the sled. I found these horses on the outskirts of town. Between you and me, they look a little skittish.
You heard that right. Buddy actually stole these horses that were wandering the outskirts of town, where he was boiling denim with his buddy Charlie. So Steve tries getting his family away from the wild horses, who are startled into riding off with the sleigh through town, in yet another stale comedy set piece that reminds you of a far better element that this movie ripped off from Christmas Vacation. At least Clark Griswold's rear projection screen looked better than this shitty green screen behind Broderick, as he makes wacky grunting noises that sound like he's got a fist up his ass.
Bingo.
But Dr. Finch is saved from the frozen lake and put into the back of his car, where he wakes up the same way that Rhea Perlman had to for over 30 years of marriage.
I had to get your body temperature up.
So I stripped us both down and zipped us into this sleeping bag.
I've done it a half a dozen times.
Those aren't pillows.
Oh please, I would be honored to wake up one morning next to a naked Danny DeVito rubbing up on my body. The two of us could even take a toe selfie together for his Twitter account. And as if this weren't enough belabored slapstick from the same directorial vision who gave us the Big Mama's House sequels, we next find DeVito and Broderick with their families at the local Christmas tree farm to pick out a tree from Dr. Finch's personal reserve of seasonal pines.
The last ones to the car are losers.
Where Buddy happens to knock over a can of gas next to the tree reserve, which combines with a spark that Finch lights off with his axe against a metal pipe.
Oh my God! Mom, do something!
What?
Yeah, I don't think that DeVito is in the wrong on this one. It was Broderick's fault that he can't smell a spilled can of gas or feel his axe hitting up against a metal pipe that obviously isn't a fucking tree trunk. Are the screenwriters of this movie suffering from clinical depression? This movie seems to be under the false impression that any rational human being would want to root for either of these men's positions. Broderick's character is the bitchest of bitch-made punks, practically forcing his family at gunpoint against their repeated wishes to celebrate Christmas in his own personal vision, simply because his off-screen military dad never cared much for the holidays when he was a kid, which has made Dr. Finch known around town as the Christmas guy.
Around here, I'm the Christmas guy. I'm the Christmas guy. I'm the Christmas guy.
I guess I'm the new Christmas guy. You can take Toe Jam Day.
Just as long as I get to have Toe Knife Day. But here comes DeVito threatening to steal his holly jolly crown with an insane plan to blow all his family's money on a tertiary personal accomplishment that will be forgotten about once the holidays are over.
It's the lights. All my life I've been looking for that one thing. I can't quit this, Bob. I gotta finish this.
I just wanna be pure.
Meanwhile, Kristen's Chenoweth and Davis are wasted here playing the Wilma and Betty roles of the disapproving sitcom wives. Aside from a pointless subplot where Kelly aspires to write her own cookbook for a change.
And I have the title for you. Food with Kelly Finch.
I love it!
Yes, food. I can't wait to buy that book on Amazon alongside a Blu-ray of the movie Reuben. And after an enraged Broderick tears the doors off of his family's car while trying to move it past the parked cars that are coming to see Buddy's light display.
What'd you do?
He finally decides to take action himself by dressing like the dark, gritty reboot of Disney's Inspector Gadget, and sneaking onto Buddy's lawn while his perverted son acts as a lookout, so that he can take out the lights with a snowball thrown towards his breaker box.
Isn't it great?
But what's this? Buddy fires the lights back up with a generator he is somehow able to afford on top of some live animals and actual actors he hires for a living manger display on his lawn. Who has Buddy sold cars to in his past? Fucking drug lords?
Finch.
Thank you, movie, for providing these fades to black every so often, so the Tubi algorithm knows where to place the ad breaks when this movie inevitably gets dumped there in the future. From here, the movie starts acting less like a family comedy, and more like one of the far better dark comedies that DeVito and Broderick have been in their past. Because what DeVito does next to this guy is straight out of the Frank Reynolds playbook, as Buddy gives the Finch family a brand new and fully decorated Christmas tree in their home, and a brand new car in their driveway, as a means of apologizing for the chaos he's inflicted on his life.
I'll get the electrician to come by this morning and fix the fuse box.
Yes, I think you better.
I'll call today.
You call now.
I'll call now.
But just as Broderick and the Cable Guy got arrested for accidentally accepting another stolen gift of friendship from a Batman villain, so does the Penguin nearly get Dr. Finch arrested. Because Finch still has to pay for the car whose title has been forged in Finch's name by Buddy, while that new Christmas tree was actually stolen from the town square by Buddy with his chainsaw.
I don't know about any tree. And unless they have film on it, you don't know about any tree. They don't have film on it, do they?
Even the guy that DeVito played in Ruthless People would think that this shit is way too goddamn ruthless. Especially over such a flimsy and stupid excuse for a comedy plot as fucking Christmas lights. Forget white people problems. This shit crosses the line over into transparent people problems. Invisible man problems. The two men agree to settle their feud by competing in a variety of competitions at the town's famous holiday Winterfest, which is attended by Cloverdale's many quirky residents. There's Hurley from Lost, Jorge Garcia, as a handyman who enlists his services to Buddy out of admiration towards his light display. There's Mad TV's Gillian Vigman and future Uncle Fester Fred Armisen as a pair of goofily accented Germans. And there's the guy who played Postal Worker Number 1 in Shane Black's The Predator as the town's Sheriff Dave, whom we discover is secretly wearing women's underwear.
I don't mind if you wear a bra.
It's a brace. My wife made it for me.
Look, I happen to think that our nation's problems with police would be solved if we simply let them dress up and drag while they're on the beat. RuPaul's Police Academy, anybody? But Kelly and Tia have had enough of their husband's immature behavior. So they command the men to solve their differences for a moment to watch the Winterfest live performance of that one scene from Mean Girls / the Thank You Next music video, where the two men bond over audibly catcalling the performers from the audience as if this was a strip club instead of a holiday family festival.
Hey baby, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Oh God, I'm your daddy. I'm your daddy!
Whoa, the sexy dancers were their teenage daughters the whole time? That is so horrifically inappropriate for a PG-rated movie. Was the MPAA just checking their phones while watching this movie for approval? It all leads to a final face-off at the big speed skating race, where if Steve wins while dressed in his Oompa Loompa costume, Buddy will agree to take down the lights. And if Buddy wins, Steve has to pay for his new car. And 5 minutes of falling down and mugging for the camera later, it's Buddy who comes out victorious in the big race.
Fine, but the last time I looked at the satellite pictures, you still couldn't see your house. How's that feel, huh? How's it feel to be invisible?
Aw, now that was too far. I almost feel bad for the man who forced a stolen car and Christmas tree onto his next door neighbor, from whom he's also illegally stealing electricity, simply because he's jealous of his fucking Christmas lights. To the point that Buddy even gets fired from his car dealership.
And if you don't have a job...
You lost your job?
That was a pretty awkward way for you to find that out.
With Buddy now having to pay for the Christmas lights by pawning off the vase of his wife's grandmother.
How am I supposed to afford a camel on a car salesman's salary?
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. But not even alienating his beloved wife and daughters will stop Buddy from once again popping up on the local news with his light display, while Tim Allen's future Santa Claus replacement, Carl Penn, pops up here in an early role as the tech director from the My Earth website, who's monitoring whether or not Buddy's house can finally be seen from space.
I hope you enjoy these lights, as I did them all for you.
It's all for you!
As Buddy has practically turned his house into a goddamn jumbotron, complete with specifically made holiday graphics, which include DeVito creepily waving at the camera while his eyes stare tunnels right into your soul. To the tune of shitty Christmas song covers, one of which sounds like it's being performed by a drunk Van Morrison. So Buddy Hall has now thrown away his job, his money, and now his family, who are moving out to a motel to spend the holidays without him.
I hope you're happy now that you're choosing this.
I don't blame you, ladies. Run from this increasingly insane man before he starts biting people's noses off and eating raw fish.
That's a lot of fish.
Things escalate even further when Steve meets a drug dealer-looking dude who actually provides him with illegal fireworks that he fires off at Buddy's house in the hopes of burning it to the fucking ground.
You want lights? I'll show you lights.
I'm not kidding, that's what the Wikipedia for this movie says. He really wants to burn the man's house down and potentially go to jail over this nonsense. I can't help but question this movie's logic, because it sure as hell isn't making me laugh. Well, except for this one funny shot where we see the burning tree's Marilyn Monroe angel get engulfed in flames. Poor Marilyn. That fire burned her even worse than that Netflix movie did.
You're getting to be a knot in my panties, mister.
And after Broderick's own family rightfully leaves his ass to join the Hall women at their motel for the holidays,
We don't fit in the tiny little boxes on your Christmas calendar.
thus leaving both Steve and Buddy alone in their respective homes, where we spot two far better holiday movies showing on their TV sets, the two put aside their feud so they can show their family they've come to remember what the spirit of Christmas is really all about. As Buddy strings all the lights he took off of his house onto a path from their wives' motel all the way back to their humble abode, where they've prepared every single recipe out of Kelly's self-written cookbook instead of giving them a sufficient apology for selling their dead grandma's vase or nearly burning down each other's houses.
Somewhere along the way, things got out of hand.
No shit.
Oh, whatever, just so long as Danny DeVito gets the honors of cutting the roast from ham. The movie veers further into saptastic Hallmark movie territory when Buddy discovers all the neighbors down in Cloverdale arriving at his home to replace all the lights he just took down with their own Christmas lights.
How many people did you call?
You have no idea how bad the eyesight is in this town.
MTV is sending someone down to do a story on Buddy's life.
Even MTV News is willing to whore out their dwindling journalistic reputation to provide this movie with a cameo by correspondent Suchin Pak, after Kurt Loder laughed in the producers' faces.
He's put up a Christmas light display in his front yard that can hopefully be seen from space.
It's not like anyone in 2006 needed to know about the extensive damage caused by Hurricane Katrina or the Iraq War. No, MTV News is going to report live from some dickhead's house in bumfuck Massachusetts over how pretty his Christmas lights look. But what's this? I guess the power just shorted out on his house, and all hope is finally lost for DeVito and his not actually achievable in real life dream. Until all the townspeople lift their flip phones up into the air as if they were candles, while Kristen Chenoweth breaks into a clearly studio-recorded rendition of Oh Holy Night that's as wedged into this movie out of nowhere as Idina Menzel's one song in Disenchanted was.
When we first met, I wasn't lying. I really did want to be your friend.
All it took was these two dickheads having a Yuletide dick measuring contest to put the spirit of Christmas back into our cynical little hearts. What in the hell are we supposed to have learned from this movie? Then after Carter plugs in a disconnected cord, the lights on Buddy's house are powered back on, and it's finally confirmed that their house can be seen from space. Hooray, I suppose. These men nearly tore apart their families and lost their jobs over achieving the biggest financial boondoggle since Elon Musk bought Twitter, which doesn't further any of the values of human kindness that Christmas should be about.
Charity, mercy, kindness.
We would have found more Christmas spirit if Danny DeVito had instead starred in a remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Garbage Day! I'm the trash man. You know
According to co-star Jillian Vigman through some gossip shared on the How Did This Get Made podcast, both DeVito and Broderick were visibly miserable during this movie's production, with Broderick muttering to himself, "This is the bottom. My career is over." And while it was thankfully not enough to end the careers of its two leading men, it was certainly beneath their talent to star in this feature-length sitcom episode that glorifies all the worst and most vacuous parts of Christmas, just as bad as the other holiday comedy that lies ahead of this one on that Rotten Tomatoes list.
I mean, I can't.
Unless you want to be transported back to the mid-2000s glory days for mediocre studio comedies that would nowadays be dumped onto streaming services instead of in a theater, then you're better off rewatching the Always Sunny Christmas special or Batman Returns than you are with decking these halls on your holiday watch list. Now, when will Disney Plus finally have the courage to unlock the 20th Century Vault and release the long-rumored R-rated cut of this movie, where we get to see the naked DeVito and Broderick get to hang some Magnum dong?
Just the pussy I've been looking for.
On the enjoymentist continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, Deck the Halls will make you wish you were watching that way better holiday comedy starring Danny DeVito's twin brother instead, and burst naked out of a leather couch with a 3 out of 10. To paraphrase Ronald McDonald, this movie will really dick with your Christmas spirit. I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and thanks again for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Originals channel. Tell all your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all our latest videos. We are an independent company that appreciates all of your support. May all of you subscribers have yourself the happiest of Christmases, and may we all have ourselves a happy new year. I'll be back soon with the top 10 worst movies of 2022. Emphasis on the number 2.
Because poop is funny.
Merry Christmas!